It's fair to state today that people are delusional, which is to say people hold a false set of beliefs about reality, especially when it comes to themselves. Of course, not you though, right? You're the exception. Here are some fun statistics to grapple with. Most people view themselves as above average in intelligence. Most people view themselves as above average in beauty. This also bleeds over into job performance. When it comes to the University of Nebraska, 94% of professors rate themselves as above average teachers, and 68% believed that they were in the top 25% in teaching performance. Now, if you've ever gone to college or sat down through an insufferable, boring teacher, or know the basics of how statistics work, you will know that this is impossible. 94% cannot be above average. The problem is, you are the average, but that's how most people view themselves, above average. Most people are not special, unique, or different. These people have a false perception of themselves. They are what I would refer to as a pawn. Also, I do apologize if I sound different. I'm unfortunately physically ill as of recording this video, so I might sound more stuffy. I do apologize for that. But when I say a pawn, I'm not just talking about average ability or intelligence or belief. It's not that, but it's about not understanding who you are, which is average. And the average person will accept and conform to their culture or their group's beliefs without question. That is what it means to be a pawn. And on top of that fact, despite never investigating the validity of their own beliefs, they are more than willing to be politically active and to fight for their cause. They simply react to the environments they are placed in, nothing more. But let me ask you, who are you thinking about right now? Most likely you're thinking about the people you just disagree with. If you're left-wing, you're going to be thinking about fundamental Christians. If you're right-wing, you're going to be thinking about the young, naive, radical leftists. That's not the correct way to view these things. Let me explain more so you can see what I mean by this. We all know that these people exist. There will always be a group of people in society that accept the rules or beliefs dogmatically, without question, and they seek to enforce them. To us, we look down upon them because we don't want to be a useful idiot. We don't want to play a game that we don't understand. And as a result of that, we have people who are countercultural, and they understand the existence of these pawns and many of their traits. And in order not to be seen as a pawn themselves, they rebel against the current culture or the side that they're on. Let's say you have somebody who's born in a Christian family, they're going to become an atheist. If you have somebody who's born into a right-wing family, they're going to become a liberal. They're going to become a progressive. These actions for these individuals don't just symbolize a change in beliefs, but a declaration to the world and to themselves that they're not a pawn. They are not just individuals who accept whatever they're told to. No, these people, they are free thinkers. They're not sheep. These individuals are capable of critical thinking, of logic and reason, and they want to show that to the entire world. I am not a sheep. I am not a pawn. But here's the problem. These rebels don't understand that changing sides doesn't equate to changing your role. You swapped from black to white, but you're still a pawn. A key trait of pawns is that they don't know that they're pawns. They think of themselves as a bishop or an intellectual, which is why so many of these countercultural rebels are the most dogmatic pawns out there. They think that the way to resist being a pawn is to announce to the world that they are capable of critical thinking, that they are so smart and educated, that they are an intellectual. Look at me, look at how much I know. I couldn't possibly be one of these stupid idiots who just follows what they're told to. But that doesn't change who you are. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it just makes you worse. Because these people who view themselves as free thinkers, just because they're going against the dominant culture, it makes them even more susceptible to these cognitive biases, studies have shown, especially with anti-theists. They're the perfect example for this. I mean, at least if you conform to the dominant culture, you're more likely to see yourself as typical as the average person, which keeps you in better check than that person who thinks that they're an exceptional individual when they're not. But how do you know if you're a pawn or not? Well, shouting to the world and declaring that you're a critical thinker and not one of these sheep is certainly not the way to go. Anti-theists and conspiracy theorists, they both fall into the same trap. They both think of themselves as free thinkers who are going against the grain, while everybody who they disagree with is a sheep. They're pawns. They're so stupid. They just accept what's thrown out in front of them. They both say the exact same things. That doesn't benefit you at all. But what does is acknowledging you're on a chessboard. You need to recognize that there are larger forces beyond your control who shape who you are. They determine what you believe, how you act, and what you value. Reacting negatively to a culture and becoming a rebel makes you just as much of a pawn as reacting positively and conforming to it does. Both of these, reacting positively and negatively, are reactions. They are reactions to external stimuli, meaning it's outside of your control. You are not initiating what you are or what you believe. You are not the initiator in these instances. Both of these individuals are products of their environment and culture. When a pawn is moved forward on the board, do you really think that he has any part in saying where he goes? No. He's being controlled by something bigger than himself, a force. He's not a free agent, even if he is a rebel or views himself as a quote-unquote free thinker. In the end, no pawn views themselves as a pawn. Pawns don't willingly sacrifice themselves. They think they're an amazing knight. They're playing a central point to the game, not just a pawn being used to bait the rook. But guess what? If you're a pawn, you can change. There is a way. And the first thing you need to do is understand who you truly are and to be honest with yourself. Put this into perspective. Imagine if a pawn made it all the way to the end of the board and it was told, "Congratulations, you can become a queen now." And the pawn responded with, "But I'm already a queen. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that I'm just a pawn?" If you don't have an accurate perception of yourself, you can't change, period. If you have a false perception of yourself, it will prevent growth. I'll give you real and common examples here. How do you expect to go to the gym, work out, eat healthy, and change your lifestyle if you think you're already healthy and strong? I'm already on par with the athletes and I look amazing. Why do I need to change my schedule? You can't start something new or change if you think you already reached the finish line. You cannot understand what you're predisposed to or your own cognitive biases if you believe you have none. You cannot sharpen your mind if you already believe that you know everything. That's how pawns get stuck where they are. You need to be honest on where you are in life and what your role is in this larger game. If you're in fact a pawn, but you recognize this, that's an amazing step in the right direction. Let's put it into perspective. Imagine if you were a pawn and knew that if you moved forward like you were told to, you would be sacrificed against your own will. The pawn would think, "Fuck that, I'm not doing that shit. I'm just gonna go home, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna live out the rest of my life in a cabin and have a good life." If you're average, if you're typical, understanding and accepting this, it is a great blessing for you. You become much harder to trick. You become much wiser. You become way harder to take advantage of or to manipulate. Idiots who overestimate their knowledge or their ability, they're the easiest people to take control of. Don't be one of those people, even if it feels good. Be honest with yourself. Or guess what? Maybe you are a simple person who wants to sacrifice themselves. You want to sacrifice yourself towards the greater good. Go out in a blaze of glory like all those memes show. You don't have a problem with being sacrificed to win the war, to protect the people back at home, to protect the things you love and value. If that is the case, at least be honest and aware of what's happening. Don't be a person who's going to be sacrificed against their will or knowledge. It has to be a conscious choice. That's what makes it honorable. That's the difference between a fool and a hero. This video in the end, it's not to control you. It's not to tell you what to do. It is to get you to wake up, to be conscious of the choices you are making. Most people are pawns, but that is fine. It's to be expected. You can change your piece. You can become a knight. You can become a bishop, a rook, hell, maybe even a queen. But you need to first recognize what you are, your abilities. Be honest with yourself, and then move forward from there. Also, don't fight in wars or for sides that are evil. The way you avoid this is to learn what the other side actually believes. The people you disagree with, you need to understand them. If you're on the right, make it a habit to listen to people on the left. Or if you're left-wing, go to people on the right and learn what they have to say. Learn what they truly believe and why they believe it. Listen to both the right and the left when it comes to topics. And the key point of this video is, on both sides we have pawns, queens, kings, knights. It isn't a game of knights versus pawns. It's a war between black and white. Which is to say, don't be one of those idiots that says, everybody I disagree with is a sheep. Everybody I disagree with is a pawn. No, you're mistaking a side for a role. There are a diverse set of roles on both sides, good and bad. I say this not because I'm a centrist, I'm very right-wing, but I just don't want you to be a fucking pawn for your own side. You need to make deliberate choices over your own life. Nobody should manipulate you or control you except for yourself. That's what I want out of you. That's what you need. And that that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that this was informative. A lot of people are subscribing, they're new, and I wanted to make another video that's political because it did well. But I want to make it clear, this isn't a channel simply to bash the left. I'm very right-wing, I stand against the left, but at the same time, we need to call out the problems on our own side as well. That way we can improve, we can change, and that's what I hope to do. That's why I do these things. Also, thank you so much for the new subscribers. I've been working so hard to get to 10,000 subscribers, and to just be flooded with so many new subscribers, getting to 13,000 as of recording this video, it is such a blessing. I'm incredibly happy and thankful for it. Thank you so much. It really means so much to me. And also, with all that money I got from the video, I can buy some cool Marvel Rivals skins. I'm joking. But of course, I actually did buy a Marvel Rivals skin. Fuck you. I'm getting it. But that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much once again for watching and subscribing. There are so many new subscribers. I'm incredibly thankful. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.